Hello everyone, today we're talking about the IATF Resolution 160, 160-A, and 160-B. I created a playlist titled Travel Guide, Rules and Information. This is the playlist where I will discuss rules and information needed during travel, including travel guidelines, baggage allowances, and other frequently asked questions. Of course, as usual, the information here will be based on published travel rules, and also my personal experience during my travels. At this time, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel by clicking on that red subscribe button now. Now that you're already subscribed, let's discuss today's special. We have the IATF Resolution number 160, 160-A, and 160-B. These are the resolutions complementing the IATF Resolution 159, which we discussed in a previous video. The link is on the description box. As you may remember, Resolution 159 temporarily suspends the classification of countries, territories, and jurisdictions as green, yellow, or red. If you've heard of Resolution 159-A and 159-B and are curious what those state, those resolutions only state the addition of more cities and provinces under Alert Level 3. Meanwhile, Resolution number 160 discusses that the national COVID-19 vaccination certificate from Slovenia, Bahrain, Qatar, Switzerland, and Hong Kong as approved for recognition in the Philippines. Now, I will try to find a list of countries whose national vaccination certificates are accepted. I'm having a little trouble finding that, but once I do, I'll put the link on the description box. Resolution number 160 also mentions the amendment of the process for local COVID-19 vaccine clinical trial applications. And now for the juicy part, Resolution 160-A and Resolution 160-B. Let's start with Resolution 160-A. Resolution number 160-A discusses the new entry, testing, and quarantine protocols for all Filipino citizens arriving from abroad effective February 10, 2022. Fully vaccinated Filipino nationals must present a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to the date and time of departure from the country of origin or first port of embarkation in a continuous travel to the Philippines, excluding layovers, provided that he or she has not left the airport premises or has not been admitted into another country during such layover. Okay, let's quickly discuss a few frequently asked questions on this. So when should you take your RT-PCR test? So it should be within 48 hours or within 2 days from your departure. Now, how do you count the hours? So as you can see here, from your flight departure, just count back 2 days. Then check the time of your departure. Anything past that on day 1 is within 24 hours. Any time past that on day 2 is within 48 hours. I would always suggest to take the test as early as you can, which is as soon as you pass the 48-hour mark. Let's talk about a few other questions. Does the 48-hour count depend on the date and time of arrival in the Philippines or departure from country of origin? It depends on the date and time of departure from country of origin. Please note that this is not affected by a layover, provided that you do not leave the airport or is not admitted into another country during the layover. Next question, will an antigen test be accepted? As per the current guidelines, only RT-PCR tests are accepted when traveling to the Philippines. So no antigen tests will not be accepted for international arriving passengers. However, for domestic flights or domestic travel, antigen tests are accepted. So, ulitin natin, yung 48 hours, binibilang siya mula sa date of flight departure sa panggagalingan mong bansa. Hindi yan apektado ng layover, basta sa layover, hindi ka lalabas ng airport. Ang RT-PCR test lang ang accepted, okay lang yung rapid RT-PCR test, basta RT-PCR test siya. Hindi pwedeng antigen test. Kung babiyahe ka sa loob ng Pilipinas, kunwari galing Manila, pupunta ka ng probinsya, maraming lugar na nagre-require ng COVID test ang tumatanggap ng antigen test. Kailangan mo pa ring tignan kung anong requirement ng pupuntahan mong lugar. Alright, going back to the protocols, fully vaccinated Filipino nationals upon arrival shall no longer be required to observe mandatory facility-based quarantine, but shall self-monitor for any sign or symptom for 7 days, with the first day being the date of arrival, and shall be required to report to the local government unit of destination upon the manifestation of symptoms, if any. So, ibig sabihin, hindi ka na magfa-facility-based quarantine, wala nang hotel stay, pwede ka nang umuwi diretso sa bahay, kailangan mo lang i-monitor yung sarili mo kung magkakaroon ka ng ubo, sipon, lagnat within the first 7 days na dumating ka. Pag nagkaroon ka ng ubo, sipon, lagnat, kailangan mong mag-report sa LGU. Alright, so that's the new entry, testing, and quarantine protocols for all fully vaccinated Filipino nationals arriving from abroad effective February 10, 2022. So, just a negative RT-PCR test result and self-monitoring. Alright, let's move on to the new entry, testing, and quarantine protocols for unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or Filipino nationals whose vaccination status cannot be independently validated. First, the negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to the date and time of departure. So, same with the vaccinated passengers. So, ulitin ba natin yung explanation? Wag tayong ganon. Okay, so next, they have to undergo facility-based quarantine until the release of their negative RT-PCR test taken on the 5th day from date of arrival. So, this is similar to the previous protocol on vaccinated travelers coming from yellow list countries. You can check my video on my stay at the quarantine hotel to see what to expect. I'll put the link in the description box. Alright, last, after the facility-based quarantine and the release of the negative RT-PCR test of the non-fully vaxxed passenger, they are required to undergo home quarantine until the 14th day from the date of arrival. So that means they need to home quarantine for 9 days. Now let's talk about the protocol for minor Filipino nationals. Filipino nationals below 12 who are not vaccinated shall follow the quarantine protocols of their parents or of the guardian traveling with them. Filipino nationals from 12 years to 17 years of age shall follow the classification and procedures based on their vaccination status. In the case of unvaccinated minors, either foreign or Filipino parents should accompany such child or children during their facility-based quarantine. So again, for minor Filipino nationals, pag below 12, susunod lang siya sa quarantine protocol nung parent niya or nung kasama niyang adult. Pag 12 to 17, they're treated like adults. So, ang protocol nila will depend on their vaccination status. Now, kung unvaccinated yung 12 to 17-year-old, dapat samahan siya ng parent, whether foreign or Filipino parent, dun sa quarantine hotel. Now, the IATF Resolution number 160-A has a new section. This is for fully recovered Filipino nationals with positive RT-PCR test prior to departure. Filipino nationals who have recovered from COVID-19 but test positive for the 48-hour pre-departure RT-PCR test may nonetheless enter the country, provided they are able to present the following documents prior to departing or boarding from the country of origin or port of embarkation and upon arrival in the Philippines. A positive RT-PCR test taken not earlier than 10 days but not later than 30 days prior to the date and time of departure from the country of origin or port of embarkation. Ano daw? What? Alright, so let's count back. So from day 1 to day 10, that's not the RT-PCR test that you're looking for. You're looking for the RT-PCR test that's taken from day 11 up to day 30, counting back from your flight. So in this example, if your flight date is March 10, the positive RT-PCR test should come from February 8 up to February 27. They also need to present the positive RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to the date and time of the departure from the country of origin or first port of embarkation. They also need to present a medical certificate issued by a licensed physician with 4 key elements. The first element is whether the passenger was an asymptomatic, mild, moderate, severe, or critical case of COVID-19. The second is that the passenger has completed the mandatory isolation period. The third is that the passenger is no longer infectious. And the fourth is that the passenger has been allowed free movement and travel. Now, those are the requirements for them to board. For their arrival procedures, if they are fully vaccinated, they shall no longer be required to observe mandatory facility-based quarantine, but shall self-monitor for any sign or symptom for 7 days, with the first day being the date of arrival, and shall be required to report to the local government unit of destination upon the manifestation of symptoms, if any. If unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or vaccination status cannot be independently determined, they shall be required to undergo facility-based quarantine until the release of their negative RT-PCR test taken on the 5th day, after which they shall be required to undergo home quarantine until their 14th day, with the date of arrival being the first day. So, clarification. Can a Filipino national travel to the Philippines if they still have COVID-19? The answer is no. This guideline is for fully recovered Filipino nationals with positive RT-PCR pre-departure test result. The passenger will be required to present a medical certificate proving that the passenger has fully recovered. So kung nagkaroon ka ng COVID at gumaling ka na, pero nag-positive pa rin yung RT-PCR test mo 48 hours from your flight date, pwede ka pa ring umuwi. Kailangan mo lang mag-present ng medical certificate na nagpo-prove na magaling ka na. Kung may COVID ka pa, huwag kang uuwi. Okay, and lastly, for the IATF Resolution number 160-A, all inbound Filipinos shall be required to register with a One Health Pass prior to arrival in the Philippines. Alright, so let's move on to the IATF Resolution number 160-B. Now, this is the resolution that discusses the new entry, testing, and quarantine protocols for foreign nationals arriving from abroad effective February 10, 2022. We'll be discussing the four categories of foreign nationals arriving from abroad. The first one would be foreign nationals entering the Philippines visa-free. The second, foreign children traveling with Filipino nationals. The third, foreign nationals entering through 9A visa. And the fourth, foreign nationals with other types of visas. The first category, foreign nationals entering the Philippines visa-free, is composed of former Filipino citizens with balikbayan privilege under Republic Act No. 9174, including their spouse and children, and also the citizens or nationals of non-visa required countries under Executive Order No. 408 as amended. I'll place a link to the list of non-visa required countries on the description box. These are the requirements for foreign nationals entering the Philippines visa-free. Number 1, proof of vaccination, and they should be fully vaccinated except for minor children below 12 years of age traveling with their fully vaccinated foreign parents. 2, negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to the date and time of departure from the country of origin or first port of embarkation. 3, valid departure tickets not later than 30 days from the date of arrival in the Philippines. 4, passport valid for a period of at least 6 months at the time of their arrival to the Philippines. And lastly, number 5, travel insurance for COVID-19 treatment costs from reputed insurers with a minimum coverage of $35,000 for the duration of their stay in the Philippines. Once admitted into the country, they are no longer required to observe facility-based quarantine, but they shall self-monitor for any sign or symptom for 7 days, with the first day being the date of arrival. They are required to report to the local government unit of their destination should they manifest any symptoms. The next category would be foreign children traveling with Filipino nationals. Foreign children traveling with Filipino nationals follows the same protocols as minor Filipino nationals. A foreign child or children below 12 years of age who are not vaccinated and traveling with their Filipino parent shall follow the entry, testing, and quarantine protocols of their Filipino parent traveling with them. A foreign child or children from ages 12 to 17 years of age traveling with their Filipino parent shall follow the protocol based on their vaccination status. In case of such unvaccinated minor children, either foreign or Filipino parents should accompany such child or children during their facility-based quarantine. And for the last two categories, foreign nationals entering through 9A visa and foreign nationals with other types of visas. They are required to show proof of vaccination and they should be fully vaccinated except for minor children below 12 years of age traveling with their fully vaccinated foreign parents. They also need to show a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to the date and time of their departure from the country or of origin or first port of embarkation. Once admitted into the country, they are also no longer required to observe facility-based quarantine, but shall self-monitor for any sign or symptom for 7 days, with the first day being the date of arrival. They are required to report to the local government unit of their destination should they manifest any symptoms. Alright, that's information from the IATF Resolution number 160-A and 160-B for entry, testing, and quarantine protocols for Filipinos and foreign nationals arriving from abroad effective February 10, 2022. If you found this video useful, I would very much love if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching and travel safe and informed.